Ooh, look at that fancy new neon sign. You know what? That means I'm legit now. Too legit to quit. That's right, this channel's sticking around forever. 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 Hi everyone, and welcome back to Big City Bee. I'm Bee for those of you who are just joining me for the first time. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining me today. I'd really appreciate it if you would consider hitting that subscribe button and bell notification so you know when my next videos are. Alrighty, let's get started. Today's book review is going to be Snapdragon by Kat Leyh. The genre for this book is going to be middle grade LGBTQ fantasy. There's only one trigger warning for this book, so make sure you check out down below in the description. Here's your summary. Snap's town has a witch, so the rumor goes. Snap needs a favor from the old woman though, so she begins to help the witch with her strange work. Your characters for this book: for track 1, we have Snap or Snapdragon and Jax. For track 2, we have Lou, Jessamine, and Snap's mother. Moving on to things that I liked about this book, and let me say when I say book, it's a graphic novel. So the first thing that I liked about this graphic novel was the art style. It is a little different than what I would usually like in my art styles. It's like right smack dab in the middle of being doodly but also like anime. There are some sharper lines and a little bit more of a severe drawing style, but I thought it worked well in this book because it definitely separates the witch versus the rest of the characters. The second thing that I liked was the story. I thought it was really unique and I hadn't seen the story before, and it was really endearing and loving, and just you kind of were just right there with the characters the whole time. The third thing that I liked about this book was the love story. Oh, I liked it. You know I love a good love story. The fourth thing that I liked about it was the ease of acceptance of LGBTQ people, and I really appreciated that, especially when I started reading this book. I didn't know it was middle grade. I just found it on my library and I was like, oh, that looks cute, let me read that. And so knowing now that this is a middle grade graphic novel, I really enjoyed how the message of acceptance of others and people who are different than you is really embraced in the story, and I thought it was really beautifully done and just makes LGBTQ normal, which it should be. It is normal, so I love that. The whole LGBTQ arc in this story was just very lovely. The fifth and final thing that I liked about this book was the magic. You know we got a witch, so you know there's gotta be a little bit of magic in there. Going on to things that I didn't like about this book, I only have one thing that I did not like about this graphic novel, and that is that it's a standalone. Oh no! Why? Why, Kat? Why? This is such a great little story and I wanted to know more. I wanted to know more of Jax and Snapdragon's adventures. I wanted to see the whole love story pan out. I wanted to know more about Lou and their life and their beginnings, and I was just very disappointed to hear that Goodreads thinks this is a standalone book, and I'm hoping that they're wrong and that Kat will write a sequel to this graphic novel. That's a good segue, so let's go on over to what Goodreads thought. Goodreads gave this book a 4.46. The things that Goodreads liked about this book is that they thought it was a great story, there was great diversity in the story, and it dealt with serious issues without getting too dark. And I think this is because it is a middle grade book. If it had been a more YA or adult graphic novel, I think we could have gotten a little bit darker, but it's middle grade. You don't want to go too dark for the kids, you know? For the people on Goodreads who didn't like this book, they didn't like that it felt like there were too many details missing for the story to come together. which I don't agree. I think we had all the details. I don't know if they weren't paying attention or not, but all the details were there. They also didn't like the artwork. Fine, fair. Everyone has their own opinion on artwork and which artwork they enjoy in graphic novels, so I won't fault them for that. And the last thing is they didn't relate to the characters. From the profiles that had reviewed this book, it seemed like they were older people. And I'm thinking maybe they couldn't relate to the characters because they're not middle school age. Maybe they're not 13. And so they felt like,
oh no, this is too big of a gap. I've never been 13 before in my life. Ah!
But they didn't relate to the characters. Overall, I would say this week it's agreeing with what Goodreads liked about this book. Unfortunately, I don't have any quotes for this book because it is a graphic novel, and there weren't any sections that I could pick and choose like I did with Fangs by Sarah Anderson. I felt like if I picked a section of dialogue to do like a back and forth between, I would be giving spoilers away, and I didn't want to do that for this book. So that brings me to my last segment of would I recommend this book? Yes, I would. Especially if you have children. I don't know who's watching this, but if you've got kids, I think this is a great book to introduce to them, especially if they're in that like 6th grade to 8th grade mentality. Well, I don't know. Maybe 8th graders are more advanced now, but like maybe 5th to 7th grade would be a good reading age for this graphic novel. But if you're like me and just like to revert to childhood and nostalgia with cartoons, then I also think this is a good read because it just shows how far along our society is coming in regards to people in the LGBTQ community and normalizing it and making it so it's not a big deal. They're just a person, and you can like the person for who that person is, and it's nothing more than that. So yes, I would suggest this. It's around a 200-page graphic novel. It's not going to take you very long, but if you need something to kind of get you out of a slump or get you going again, I think this would be a great graphic novel for you to read. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite graphic novel is, and maybe I'll have to check it out and you'll see a review on here about your favorite. Alrighty everyone, that's all I have for you today. If you would consider hitting that like button and maybe subscribing if you're not already, I would really appreciate it. I'll see you next time. All the best always. Bye.